And I can't speak about everybody on that couch. I can only speak about him and the dude Rashad McCants, the guy, the guy that be quitting. You talking about so much talent between those two, North Carolina national champions, All-Americans, and just complete fucking duds.
Yo, what's good, everybody? Pat Beverley is back in the spotlight, and this time he's taking aim at Brandon Jennings and Rashad McCants. If you haven't been following the story, both Jennings and McCants have had plenty to say about Pat Bev over the past several weeks. To be fair, Rashad did try to explain where he was coming from, but that didn't stop the back and forth from growing. The interesting part is that there was no shortage of tough talk online and on podcasts, but once they were actually around Pat Beverley in person, that same energy seemed to fade away. It's something fans have pointed out before. A lot of people are comfortable speaking their minds when someone isn't in the room, but once they're face-to-face, the tone suddenly changes. Instead of confrontation, everyone seems a whole lot friendlier. That's why this situation has become such a talking point. At this stage, it almost feels like Pat Beverley is having fun keeping the pressure on these guys. Brandon Jennings and Rashad McCants have fully embraced the podcast world, where opinions spread fast and every clip can go viral. But Pat doesn't appear interested in letting any of those comments slide. Every chance he gets, he finds another opportunity to respond, keeping this back and forth alive. With that said, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any updates, because there's plenty more to get into. Now, let's jump straight into today's story.
And he likes to chirp back and forth. He talks about this, he talks about that. He said something that kind of, you let a white boy take your show. And I'm like, yo, play one-on-one. And he's like, no, I'm not playing you one-on-one. I'm 36, 37 years old. Play me in golf. Play me in golf, he said. And I'm like, okay, all right. He's like, yeah, I give you time to work on your golf, this, have some etiquette, Pat, wear a collared shirt, like, very entertaining young man. Like, you talk about a McDonald's All-American. You talking about you YouTube Brandon Jennings high school highlights. You talk about probably one of the best mixtapes that you ever seen a player out of high school have, and not have a successful NBA career. It's sad. I don't even think it's funny anymore. It's sad for him. It's honestly sad. You talk about a waste of talent. You talking about a complete waste of talent. You talking about having etiquette. Like, I'm in the south of France for the summer. You feel me? Like, I'm trying to figure out if I'm gonna put this, 4,000 or 5,000 euro on banker or player during the summertime, and you sitting on another man's couch in another man's home.
Now, this is probably one Brandon Jennings is going to have to respond to, because Pat Beverley didn't hold anything back. He came with some strong opinions, and naturally, fans are already waiting to see if Jennings fires back. Before Brandon Jennings suffered that devastating Achilles injury, there was no denying his talent. He looked like a player with a bright future. But after that injury, things unfortunately changed. He was never quite the same, and over time, his career began to slow down. Even with that setback, though, Jennings still put together a respectable 9-year NBA career, and that's an accomplishment that deserves credit. Plenty of players never come close to lasting that long in the league. Rashad McCants' story was very different. For many fans, McCants became one of those players people believed could have achieved much more than he ultimately did. His NBA career ended much sooner than expected, and despite the talent he showed, he was never able to establish himself long-term. Over the years, questions about his attitude and accountability have followed him, with those criticisms continuing to come up whenever his career is discussed. Fair or not, that's a major reason many people believe he never made it beyond his rookie contract. According to Pat Beverley, both Brandon Jennings and Rashad McCants fall into the category of players who never fully reach their potential. Coming from Pat, you can understand why he feels confident making that argument. Beverley carved out a 12-year NBA career despite entering the league through an unconventional path. Before becoming a full-time NBA player, he spent time playing overseas and worked his way into the league through persistence and determination. As an undersized guard, he built a reputation on defense, energy, and toughness, eventually sticking around much longer than many people expected. Pat has also brought up a story involving Rashad McCants and the Los Angeles Lakers. According to Beverley, McCants walked away from a workout that could have helped him earn a roster spot alongside Kobe Bryant, a player Rashad has repeatedly said he admired throughout his career. If that's how the situation unfolded, it's easy to see why people would question that decision. Passing on an opportunity to compete for a chance to play with one of your basketball idols is something that naturally gets fans talking. McCants, however, has offered a different explanation. He has said that he believed he had already been assured a roster spot, which is why he didn't think it was necessary to go all out during that workout. Whether people agree with that reasoning or not, that's the version of events Rashad has shared, and it remains one of the more debated stories whenever his NBA career comes up.
Y'all should be kissing the ground at Gilbert Arenas' walk song, because if it wasn't for him, we would still not even see y'all in the world. You feel me? And I'm only talking about those two. You feel me? Kenya Martin, you already know the vibes, OG. Nick Young, I can't never say nothing about you. You get big, you got huge buckets in the NBA, Gilbert Arenas. You feel me? No words. But like, it's only two people on that couch that I can kind of like, if they told me, Pat Bev, you went too far, chill on Brandon, that I'd chill. And that's Gilbert Arenas and Kenya Martin. You feel me? Because when you talk about career earnings, right? Because I'm a numbers guy. I don't know. Money talks, bullshit walks with me. So I'm a numbers guy. You talk about career earnings, it's only two people on that couch. Gilbert for sure beat me. And I think me and Kenya Martin are close. That's made more money in career earnings. It's only one person on that couch. And again, no disrespect, OG, Kenya Martin. It's only one person on that couch that's made more money in podcasting than me, and that's probably Gilbert Arenas. Like, pipe down.
Now, when someone builds their argument around widely known events, it becomes a lot harder to dismiss what they're saying outright. One point Pat Beverley touched on is that before Gilbert Arenas brought Rashad McCants and Brandon Jennings onto his show, many NBA fans weren't regularly hearing from either of them. Gilbert himself has even shared the story of first running into Rashad at a gym before eventually giving him an opportunity to join the platform. As for Brandon Jennings, some fans would argue that Gilbert also gave him a valuable opportunity. There were plenty of episodes where Jennings wasn't the most vocal person on the panel, yet he still had a seat at the table and remained part of the show. That doesn't mean he owes Gilbert Arenas anything forever, but a little acknowledgement for the opportunity probably wouldn't have been viewed as a bad thing either. Then there's the part of this exchange where things started feeling a lot more personal. Everyone knows that once money gets brought into the conversation, the tone usually changes in a hurry. That's exactly why Pat Beverley's comments grabbed so much attention. At that point, it wasn't just about basketball opinions or podcast debates anymore. The discussion started moving into much more personal territory. Because of that, it wouldn't be surprising if Brandon Jennings feels the need to respond. Whether he addresses Pat directly or chooses to let the comments pass remains to be seen. But knowing how these public back and forths usually play out, fans are going to be watching closely. Right now, it doesn't sound like Pat Beverley is simply exchanging playful jabs. Based on the way he's delivering these comments, he's making it clear that he wants his words to hit a little harder. And that's exactly why so many people are waiting to see what happens next.
Grown-ass little boy. And you know, if you see me in public, you wouldn't be speaking with any of this. You know that. Like, you know that. Like you know that. So, like, you feel me? Like, let's be basketball players. Let's keep it basketball. How all of a sudden you was ready to play me in basketball 8 months ago, and 8 months later you're too old now. It doesn't make sense. And now you talk about etiquette. Like, come on, man. You work at somebody's house on their couch, man. Like, stop playing. Like, stop. Little Brandon, stop. Little BJ. Like, I watched film from a couple weeks ago. You watched film from your rookie year, 15 years ago. We are very different. Rashad McCants, you watched film from college. I watched film from literally 9 days ago. Man, what could I did different than that pick and roll? We are not the same at all, boys. We are not. Like, we are not the same. Y'all own y'all fourth acts. I mean, Brandon, you done went basketball, you done went clothing line, you done went podcasting, you done went, now you talking about golf. You on your fourth act. Like, you on your, I'm still hooping.
Man,
The way this is unfolding, it really feels like Pat Beverley wants this to be about more than just exchanging words. I'm just not convinced Brandon Jennings and Rashad McCants are interested in taking it that far. At this stage, they've built a reputation as basketball personalities and podcasters, and I don't think they're looking to turn this into anything beyond a war of opinions. Honestly, there comes a point where everyone might be better off leaving it alone. Don't get me wrong, it's definitely entertaining for fans to watch. The clips get views, the reactions go viral, and everyone has an opinion. But if this back and forth is never actually going to reach any kind of conclusion, then eventually it just becomes the same argument repeating itself. I also understand why Pat Beverley decided to respond in the first place. Brandon Jennings and Rashad McCants were both outspoken after Pat's departure from Gilbert Arenas' show, and neither of them held back with their opinions. But what a lot of fans keep pointing out is that when Pat was sitting right there with them on that same couch, the conversations didn't seem nearly as heated. That's why people continue bringing up the difference between talking about someone and talking directly to them. At the same time, if you're Brandon or Rashad, you probably feel like you can't simply ignore everything Pat Beverley is saying either. Once comments like these become public, there's naturally going to be pressure to respond. Whether it's on a podcast, social media, or somewhere else, fans are going to expect an answer. More than anything, though, it's a little disappointing to see former NBA players going back and forth like this, especially knowing that so many younger basketball fans are watching. Competitive debates are one thing, but when they become personal, that's usually when the conversation starts moving in the wrong direction. Now, regardless of whether you're a fan of Pat Beverley or you think his personality isn't for you, there's one point that's difficult to argue against. Looking strictly at the basketball side of things, Pat put together an impressive NBA career. He spent 12 seasons in the league, earned roughly $82 million during that time, and carved out a role through hard work after beginning his professional journey overseas. That's a career that a lot of players would gladly take. Personally, if someone offered me that career, I'm signing the contract without thinking twice. I don't need a championship ring, an all-star appearance, or a trophy case full of awards. Give me the longevity, the financial security, and the lifetime NBA benefits, and I'm walking away happy every single time. But that's just how I see it. Now I want to hear from you. How do you think Brandon Jennings and Rashad McCants are going to respond to Pat Beverley's latest comments? Do you think they'll fire back, or is it finally time for